Hello, and welcome to the 50-something podcast with me, Andy Barlow, aged 56.
And me, Darran Medley, age 55.
So, good morning, listeners.
Good morning.
Today is Sunday the 12th? Sunday the 12th of November. Darran and I are in the car and we are headed to Hampstead Pond. Darran, how are you feeling?
I'm nervous, excited. It's overcast, a little bit rainy, but it is chilly.
There may be mist on the water, and if there is, it'll be beautiful, but I think it's actually too damp. I don't think it will.
Okay.
But we were just talking about mist. And Darran said, do you think there'll be mist? And I thought he said, do you think we'll be missed?
And I said, why is it going to be that bad? We might die.
Well, actually, don't joke. I was talking to my mum about this at the weekend, and she was saying, well, did you hear there was somebody who went wild swimming and they had a heart attack?
Oh, God.
Because the water is so cold.
Brilliant.
So it's a big shock. So, just basically take it easy. We'll try not to squeal.
Yeah, I'll try my best.
If you you're really calm, just think about, you see like going into an ice bath.
Yes.
He's very, very focused and concentrated.
Yes.
Try and do that.
I will try.
Not a chance.
I'll try and do that. I'm looking forward to it.
We'll see you when we get there.
Bye.
So, we've arrived. Darran, how are you feeling?
Nervous, but there are other people here, which actually probably makes me feel a little bit better. People can get us out.
Fool.
We can be rescued.
I mean, there are lifeguards.
Okay.
You can see the lifeguards there.
Am I allowed to wear armbands?
Wear whatever you want. Oh, look, there are people there standing by the side waiting to go in. Morning.
Morning.
And the water temperature is 8.8 degrees.
Blimey.
8.8.
Okay.
So there are quite a lot of people in there.
Yeah.
So the last time I was in, it was 21 degrees.
Oh, wow.
And that was pretty chilly too.
Yeah.
This is going to be cold.
Okay.
Let's go. So what? You've just done it in 7.5 minutes. You stayed in for 7.5 minutes.
But they call it. Is it the after? Is it after drop or cold drop?
So if you stay in the water for too long and then you come out, then it's cold. You go
Well, it's always. Anytime you get off the water, you kind of keep getting colder for 10 minutes. So sometimes you have to make sure if you get out before you feel cold, because what can happen is after you get out, for 10 minutes after that, your body will keep dropping.
Oh shit.
So it takes a while for your body to balance again.
At the beginning we were warming up. He was warming up in the car, so he was getting super cold.
Yeah, normally you find when we first did it, after you get out, when you get out, maybe 10 minutes later, you would just really start shivering like this. Yeah.
Right, all right, well, we're going in. We'll see what happens. Thanks, fellas.
That's right.
And so then we went in. And honestly, listeners, I'm so sorry that you're going to hear something now. And it's really, I recommend that you don't play this in a room where other people can overhear. Wear headphones, because it sounds like something really bad is going on. Trust me, it isn't. It's just me and him having a swim in really, really cold water. But it's, oh my goodness me. You have a listen and let us know what you think.
You. There's some good guidance that we put up there, but obviously these are things to bear in mind.
We just need to be careful we don't shock ourselves to death.
Yeah,
okay, we're recording now, so all you need to do is just come with us, really. Okay. Right, so even the floor's cold.
The floor is freezing.
Here with us, David. Okay, so we've got lifeguards all around us. We're not going to die. We're going to go in slowly. I'll go in first. So, wish me luck. I'm now going in.
Good luck, Andy. He's going in.
It's cold. It's fucking cold.
Come on.
Stay by the side.
You know what? You might.
Breathe out as you're going in.
I'm 5 in.
Stay by the side. Stay by the
Can you say your name?
Fuck, it's cold. It's too cold, I'm gonna have to get out.
It becomes bliss in about a minute, but I think you need to build up to that.
It hurts. Why does it hurt? It actually hurts. Okay, I'm coming out.
I think he's getting to like it.
Are you coming out? It hurts. Wonderful. Are you coming out? Arms. Jesus Christ. I'll do one little thing.
Oh, Darren.
Darren, I think you're a natural. Look, he's wanting to go away.
Oh, he's just showing off now. All right, well, he's there now. I'm going back in. Okay, so it really was very, very, very cold.
8.8 degrees. So that was the sound of me and him in Hampstead Pond, squealing like girls. We've had a lot of comments. In fact, David, thank you, David, who recorded us whilst we were in the pond. When we got out, he actually leaned into my ear and he said, "It sounded like you and Darren were having sex." He's American. Well, that was my accent, by the way. He's lived here a long time as well. But yeah, and we've had many other people say it sounds like we are. So
we weren't.
I mean, I don't know. We weren't. We really weren't. We would not put that on you. But it was very funny for us listening back. So we hope you were suitably entertained. But it was cold, wasn't it, mate?
It was. But I travelled back up to Manchester on Sunday afternoon, and I felt great. I felt a nice sort of glow of warmth that we'd achieved it. And yeah. I really enjoyed it.
But your body feels weird though, doesn't it? Because your skin, you're so cold that it feels sort of hot.
Yeah, it's like I said as soon as I got out, it felt like and I'm sure you remember as a kid when you used to play sport at school and you'd come in and you felt like, it's called chilblain. It was like your body was sore, but it's kind of vibratingly warm.
Yes,
that's how I
mention
felt.
Vibrating and oh, it hurts. It hurts.
Yeah.
Oh
so,
man.
Yeah, it took me back to school days, coming in after playing rugby for an hour outside and freezing cold and getting
jumping
inside
in the group bath.
Yes, all that stuff. Yes.
Yeah.
And in fact, when I got back, I did look for somewhere to do it locally because I feel like it could be part of a daily routine. I really enjoyed it. I have some friends who do that in Sale. Hello,
in
Craig.
The water park.
Yeah, so hello, Craig, and hello, Jeff, if you're listening. So I might join
Craig
them.
And Jeff.
I might join them.
Yeah, it sounds brilliant. I think you should. We were talking the other day about the two Irish guys who've got that food brand. I think they're called the Happy Pair or the something pair. They're twins. Very entertaining. I think they've got podcasts and stuff. But they're really entertaining guys. But they go wild swimming in the sea every day. And they go at 4:30 a.m. and so they are in the sea for dawn, which must be very beautiful. But they built up such a reputation for doing this. They've got a cafe. I can't remember where it is. It's somewhere on the coast of Ireland.
I did check, Andy. It's near Dublin, and I'm in Ireland this weekend, but I'm in the north. Otherwise, I was going to go and check the cafe
you should
out.
have done. Oh, yeah. What a shame. Yeah. But they regularly invite. I think they must put it on their social media or something, and then they end up with like literally hundreds of people joining them at the cafe, and they give them all free porridge, and then they all go for a swim in the sea together, which must be actually really pretty cool. I mean, we're swimming with people when we go to Hampstead Pond, and ordinarily, listeners, we're not in there for like 3 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever we did. Ordinarily, when you're acclimatized to the temperature, then I'm in there for sort of half an hour, 45 minutes, doing a few laps, and then lying back and just taking in the sounds of the birds and the water lapping and looking at the sky, and it's just incredibly peaceful and relaxing. And what an amazing way to start the day! It really is joyous. But it wasn't quite so joyous when we did it the other day. It was just so cold. And that was going from Darran from nothing to 8.8 degrees, and me from 21 degrees to 8.8 degrees, and not having been for a couple of months. So it was quite a shock to our systems. But we've done it. We got the challenge done.
We have done it.
And I think it's inspired you to watch the movie The Ponds.
Yes, I watched it yesterday, Andy, and really, really nice piece. Great community in terms of, and I must say, there's a men's pond, there's a women's pond, and there's a mixed pond. So it isn't just for men. And people from all walks of life, all ages. People have been doing it for decades.
Just jumping in there, when I first started, I met this guy, and he was in his 80s, and he introduced himself, and he said, "I'm 85 years old, and I've been swimming here for 50 years every day." And I was just like, "Oh my God, really?" And he says, "Yeah." And I said, "Oh, all through winter?" "Yes, all through winter, and breaking the ice with spades, all that sort of stuff." And this guy, like I say, he was an octogenarian, and I think there are quite a lot of them there. In fact, I'm sure there are. But he was really agile. He was bending over and drying between his toes and stretching, and and the guy was a proper old dude. But you also get quite a lot of celebrities swim there as well. I've seen quite a few. I won't mention who they are. And there's obviously health benefits.
I think did you mention that there'd been two people you knew that had heart issues, and their doctor had recommended they do it?
We heard two guys when we were there on Sunday, and they were shouting across the changing area at each other. Two American guys, both of them, and one was saying that his surgeon recommended it, and he's got this particular kind of heart trouble, and the other guy got heart trouble as well, and they were comparing the heart troubles, but they were both there swimming on a Sunday morning and 8.8 degrees in the rain,
and it was busy.
And you just kind of go,
a lot of
and
people,
it was properly busy. Yeah.
And a lot of people in the 60s, 70s who were star jump, stretching.
But there were younger ones as well.
Yeah,
I mean, the two guys that we recorded earlier, they were in the 20s.
Yeah.
So
it's clearly for everybody.
Not. It really is. It really is. And it's kind of got health benefits. It's got social benefits. But you do feel fantastic. Like I say, really you need to spend more than 5 minutes in there to get the full benefit. But you do feel really good.
And in fact, we were talking to a journalist, and I believe you've got a piece coming up from him, haven't you?
Rupert. So Rupert, I've got an interview with him tomorrow. So that will become part of this podcast as well. Rupert, I think he's 58, so he's in his 50s too. And I'll find out more about him and what he's got to say. But he is a pond swimmer. He's a regular pond swimmer, and he's been doing it for a long time. So we just finished our swim. Darran and I were just getting changed in the changing area in the cold. It wasn't actually raining at the time. But as ever, you meet very interesting people when you go to the ponds at Hampstead Heath. And one particular chap is with me now. So if you could introduce yourself to the listeners, that would be amazing.
Hello, lovely to be with you. My name's Rupert Short. I'm a writer and journalist and a pond aficionado. I'm there devoutly, more or less 7 days a week, all year round.
So you're an all-rounder, an all-year-rounder?
This will be my 20th consecutive winter.
Wow. And do you go properly when it's like breaking the ice with spades and things like that? Does that happen these days, or is that fiction?
It's a while since I've broken the ice myself. I was warned last winter about the risk of bashing my head against some ice, which, as people will know, can be very, very, very sharp. But that's a rare occurrence, of course. I'm not sure I want to put people off as soon as I start opening my mouth. The water is very warm in summer, of course, and very lovely in a different way in spring and autumn, bracing without being too cold.
What's the coldest you've ever swum in?
About 0.5 degrees. It got down to almost freezing in December of last year, December 2022, before warming up considerably in January and February.
Because it was 8.8 degrees today when we swam. And that's the coldest I've ever been in there. I think the next coldest was like 10.5 degrees, and that was cold. But 8.8 degrees, I mean, listen, when you hear this podcast and you hear Darran and I squealing like little girls, you will realize that for us this was very cold. But you've gone to 0.5 degrees. What does that feel like? Are you numb?
You're doing very well, and taking it one step at a time. I dare say that you will be there on Christmas Day or around Christmas, and even around Valentine's Day as well, given what the body is capable of getting used to.
Yeah,
I think that's the watchword, really. There's a well-known very scientific taxonomy of the late great Alvarez, who wrote a book about swimming at the pond called Pond Life. And he said, if it's below 10, it's cold. If it's below 5, it's effing cold. And I would have been the first to think that it was nuts to go all the way through the year. I wasn't even aware of the winter swimming phenomenon until I met Al at a literary gig in 2003. And he was introduced as being rather macho by writers' standards, because he used to shin up mountains as well as swimming on the Heath. And he gave me a lift home afterwards and said, why don't you give it a whirl? And 2003, you will recall, was a very hot summer, but it was also a very mild autumn. I was working at home a lot. The temperature only fell gradually. And before I knew it, I had succeeded in getting through the whole winter, albeit by just going for a dip. And I literally mean a dip, jumping in at one set of steps and coming out a few seconds later at these steps just further along the jetty. And I will be eternally grateful to an older friend who had got into swimming after his wife died, and he wanted to combat low spirits. And he said, I think you're doing all the difficult stuff just by getting in. If you can grit your teeth and get through the pain barrier, which comes after about 40 to 50 seconds, why don't you stay in a bit longer? Because if you want the full discharge of endorphins and dopamine and what have you, you need to stay in rather longer than about 10 seconds. And so I manned up, I girded my loins and realised that of course he was right. I'm not sure it's necessarily wise to stay in for longer than 4 or 5 minutes
when it's cold.
When it's very cold.
Yeah.
The other important thing, I think, is to bring lots of layers and to towel yourself down rapidly. People who stand there nattering in the compound in their swimming costumes can pay a price later in the day, because you can get home and get a shock. You're in a nice centrally heated environment, but your teeth can be chattering for quite a long time.
And that social side does seem very important, actually. When
the social side is vital, but if I could just stick for a moment on the physiology, because what I have just said still prompts a question about why. And I would simply say that the feeling isn't just of euphoria for a short while afterwards. there are all sorts of other benefits as well, which we are only gradually discovering. There's the boost to the circulation, the boost to the immune system, the fact that cold water boosts the brown fat, which is the good kind, and it helps to fight the visceral fat, which of course is not so good for us. So all in all, I think you're doing yourself far more good than harm. And I've lost count of the number of people who said, I would far rather have a few minutes here than spend 3/4 of an hour in the gym. You're close to nature, of course, and the bird life is pretty spectacular, as you're aware. Quite apart from the other huge blessing, namely the social aspect. All of human life is there. Sigmund Freud's great-grandson is there. There are members of the House of Lords. There are butchers, bakers, market traders, riffraff like me, the whole gamut of all sorts and conditions of people, and that also makes it very special, I think.
Definitely. And I've met some really wonderful people there as well. And everybody seems to come with a health story, and everybody seems to benefit. So there's certainly some truth. And, earlier on in this podcast, which you haven't heard yet, we do actually discuss, some of the octogenarians that I've spoken to over the years when I've been coming swimming, who just seem so lively and alive and healthy and agile, and it's just not only mentally but physically as well. There's got to be some connection there.
You asked me to share my age, and I tick the right box for this podcast because I am in my 50s. But of course, many people who swim at the pond look quite a lot younger than their biological age. Having said that, I suspect I'm not alone in thinking that this is the middle-aged guy's fix. There are one or two characters there who may have had problems in the past with the bottle or possibly other difficulties related to lifestyle. And these are people for whom exercise has become their new fix.
Their new drug.
Yes. And when their drug of choice, and when others are perhaps lying in bed on a Saturday or Sunday morning recovering from their hangovers, these guys are doing their squats and their stretches in the compound before they take the plunge, and then perhaps disappear for a good old fry-up. So many of my dearest friends are part of the furniture there. It's not only people of our age and older. Let me emphasise that there's a wonderful flow of 20-somethings, and some of the most interesting people.
We were chatting on this podcast actually before, and one guy, Patrick, is a friend of mine. He's in his 20s, and he was there with his friend, and it seems a very, very cross-cultural, cross-age group, cross all sorts, cross different demographic, and it's not sort of polarized as you may think. It's not just a very middle class thing to do. It's something that anybody can do, and it's very accessible, and it's not expensive, and
Yes, it's very in a word, it's very democratic. To find a place where there are the great and the good, and let's say the humble and the good, rubbing shoulders. We're all equals as we plunge into the water, and the atmosphere there couldn't be more friendly. And I'm very, very pleased that I hope the pond remains something of a well-kept secret, and there's a sense in which we're letting the cat out of the bag a bit.
No, there's the movie, of course. There is the Ponds, the movie, which film, is.
And I mean, I'm very glad that the whole concept has been refreshed in recent times. There have been more millennials, Gen Z people coming along, and it's something enormously special to be cherished, I think. And I think my women friends would echo what I just said in relation to their own wonderful pond.
thanks, Rupert. That was brilliant. I really enjoyed chatting to you then. The podcast will be out this weekend, and I've been speaking to Les at hampsteadponds.co.uk, and he's going to post it as well, so that anybody who visits the website can also access this podcast. And listeners, if you'd like any more information about swimming in Hampstead Ponds, there's a men's pond, a women's pond, and a mixed pond. It's a fantastic experience. It really, really is. I'd suggest visiting hampsteadponds.co.uk, and Hampstead is spelled Hampstead. Okay, so that was Rupert. Thank you so much, Rupert, for joining us.
Thank you, Rupert, for your insights. It was lovely to hear.
Brilliant.
Hope to see you down at the pond soon.
Yes. He's never coming back, Rupert. You realise that, don't you? But that is just about the end of this. This is kind of like a special report. Episode 4, special report, live from the ponds. We are going to be back in another couple of weeks with our next episode 5, and we have our very special guest, which is confirmed, and that guest is
Tim Cooper, who's the CEO and joint owner of the wonderful British fashion brand Oliver Sweeney.
Excellent.
And he's going to take us through his journey, how he started in the industry, when he bought Oliver Sweeney, and everything about styling men in their 50s.
Excellent. So, if you're a man in your 50s, this is stuff you do not want to miss. So, that's it. Thank you very much for listening again and again. We're really grateful. We got really good feedback, and we're really enjoying doing this. So, please keep listening so we can keep making more of these. See you in the next one.
See you next time. Thank you. The 50-something podcast.
Because things happen in your 50s. We'd love to hear different perspectives on the subjects that we discuss. So if you're 50-something, have a point of view, we would love to hear from you. Email us at 50somethingpodcast@gmail.com.